good evening. Peace and freedom and grace be with you. My name is John Clifton. Welcome to another episode of Hardfire. This is a very special edition, which we're not going to talk about issues for the most part. We will be getting to some of those and glancing on them, but we want to talk about a fascinating entertainment group, a troupe, and that's going to be performing for you on this episode. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, ANDREA SNELL.
Good evening.
Who are you?
Well, I am a sometime visitor of the Libertarian Party, as you well know, and I've recently started a group of freedom-oriented sketch comedy, currently known as Freedom Theater, but we'll decide on a permanent name later. And we're doing rallies and demonstrations, trying to raise the awareness around a lot of these issues that deal with civil liberties.
It sounds to me you're going to have a good market to continue to perform, because there's always going to be rallies, marches, demonstrations where they'll need to have a break in the action or entertainment group, along with the guests and protesters and speakers.
Yeah, kind of lightens things up a little. And I feel like it's a lot stronger to make fun of someone than to just be angry. And it's just a much more empowered and, not to be touchy-feely about it, but it's a stronger position. And to be able to satirize them makes people feel better. I feel like a lot of what we need to do now isn't so much inform people, because I don't think that too many people are satisfied with the government. You don't see people who are really content. There's some of them, but most people are upset and outraged, but they don't feel like they can do anything. I feel like what we should be doing is working on encouraging people. And a lot of ways to do that is through humor.
Kind of like the left brain, right brain approach to dealing with people. Libertarians and freedom lovers have talked to people logically and rationally, left brain, and most people don't get it until they get it in the gut. Somebody hits them with a 2x4 emotionally or creatively, and maybe you're going to get the message across through that creative method. Yeah,
and people take their walls down too, because whereas they'll get combative with you in a debate, if you say something humorously or your message is a little less direct, they'll get it, or they'll start to kind of come along with you at least a little bit. Maybe they don't get it all the way, but it's kind of a way to break down the barriers.
All right. Can you quickly tell me about their connection or your interest in Bordic, which is a civil liberties group?
Right. Well, we are an independent company affiliated with Bordic, which means we perform at their events and rallies. I am also involved with Bordic as an individual, not as a representative of the group, but individually. And while we're going to be performing at a funeral for the Bill of Rights coming up October 26th, which is the anniversary of the Patriot Act being passed, and so appropriately we will be paying homage and doing some eulogies about the various amendments that...
Kind of like an anti-holiday, right?
Yes. Mourning the death of our liberties and, trying to bring attention to how really dire the situation is.
Yeah. We're going to go shortly to some of your segments, but I hope that people are going to be entertained by how you actually present and your group does things. Anything you want to say before we get started about those?
No.
Well, I want to say to people before we get going that you want to hear more about what activities the Libertarian Party is doing. You could go to our website, ny.lp.org, and learn all about our connections and our individuals, and enjoy our discussion on our lively discussion lists. So, with that said, let's join a lecture at Bob Jones University.
Good afternoon, class. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United Corporations of America and to the Republicans and Zell Miller, one Christian nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. Who can afford it? With tax cuts for the rich, who will invest that money to create more jobs, which we will ship to India, guided by the divine, invisible hand of a laissez-faire economic system, using force when necessary, and the Bible when convenient. Amen. Please be seated. The topic of today's lecture is free speech, a clear and present danger. Now, there is no such thing as absolute free speech. We all know you can't walk into a crowded movie theater and yell fire. And why not? Because it could create a panic endangering lives. Though truthfully, If it's one of those pieces of Hollywood trash, it'll be mostly liberals in there anyway, so what the hell? But seriously, my point is this. Free speech is dangerous. Now, when you criticize our government in a time of war, you are aiding the enemy and endangering lives. And not just any lives, ladies and gentlemen, but those of our heroic fighting soldiers, our brave young men and women who are sacrificing to protect you, sacrificing to protect your fundamental rights to life and to liberty and to buy cheap plastic crap from Walmart. But not only that, they are sacrificing to protect your right to free speech. And when you criticize the troops, you prevent them from protecting your rights. Are you following my logic? By exercising your right to free speech, you are jeopardizing your right to free speech. Think about it. Now, folks, we live in truly terrifying times. There are violent fundamentalist wackos out there threatening the very foundation of democracy. But enough about Pat Robertson. Oh, now, come on. I kid Pat. I kid him because we are dear old friends. Pat and I are very close. We're like this. Pat and I, well, maybe not exactly like that. I would say that we're more like this. Do you see what I'm getting at? See, we're close, but respectful. Now, Pat did get himself in a bit of hot water a few weeks back with some comments he made about Mr. Chavez. And there is a lesson that we can learn from Pat's folly, and that lesson is this. You cannot trust the liberal media. Excuse me, sir. Please keep your seat. Thank you. The liberal media will distort whatever you say and use it for their own purposes. I mean, how else can you explain their insane reaction to such a harmless comment as Pat's when he said, and I've got that comment right here, we can save over $200 billion by assassinating the democratically elected leader of a country that possesses one of the world's largest supplies of oil. Well, shit, that's pretty bad. That's, well, now, but the thing to remember here is that the liberal media will twist whatever you say, and they will repeat it over and over and over and just blow it all out of proportion. My point is this. Liberals have no morality. Now, we know this. We know that they lie, and then they kill babies, and they will manipulate any situation for their own advantage. Look at that Cindy Sheehan marching around the country, using the death of her own son to further her political agenda. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. And those liberal groups like that satanic movealong.org, using the pain and suffering of someone's darkest hour to score cheap political points. Mr. Shivo, please keep your seat. I do not want to have to remind you again, my lecture is not over till our class time is up. Well, it appears our time is up. Now, in lieu of our closing hymn today, we have a special guest with us who is going to lead us in song. He is a former member, and I emphasize former, of that communist organization, the ACLU. But he has seen the light, and he's here today to lead us in a stirring rendition of that Lee Greenwood classic, God Bless the USA. Please give him a warm welcome. Bush stole both of the elections, passes laws to help him spy. He exploits the fighting soldiers of a war he built on lies. Appoints all right-wing zealots, destroys our country more each day. 'Cause the flag used to stand for freedom till Ashcroft took that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I used to be free. And I can't forget the men who die in vain, apparently. And I gladly stand up next to you if shove ever comes to push. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I loved this land until it was ruined by Bush. Class dismissed.
That was very fascinating, very funny. Who writes the material?
Well, that one was written by Rick Brody, who is a liberal, but my group has a lot of different party preferences. We try and be somewhat nonpartisan, but let people show their colors a little bit. And yeah, it's written by whoever feels inclined to write. I write the light sketch. John Tringle, who's also a libertarian, writes the middle sketch. But yeah, we have probably 3 or 4 writers. Jim Lazinski actually wrote a sketch for our group. It'll be at the meeting in November. But
Okay, the meeting in
and
November.
some of them are improvised.
So again, for some people who are somehow watching this for the first time, Manhattan has a libertarian meeting every month, like the 3rd Wednesday, and you can get more details about the Manhattan activities. It's Mondays now?
November 14th is
okay. Perhaps State Chair is out of touch with how things are going. I would say to the public to go to manhattanlp.org to get the information about the activities of the Libertarian Party in Manhattan or New York County. You'll probably meet Andrea and a lot of other individuals who come to Hardfire at that meeting, and it's a great central location and time of the month to get involved with efforts involving liberty. And in terms of bigger projects, are you thinking about expanding from being a troupe that performs at events to doing, well, I don't know, more ambitious projects, whatever those are?
Yeah, eventually. We're kind of taking it one step at a time. Eventually, we'd like to be, successful along the traditional route of sketch comedy groups. Yeah. But we're starting off kind of in the political realm, and I want to get out there and do some real guerrilla theater. Get out in the parks and preach to the ignorant rather than just the converted. Because it's nice to have a crowd that knows what you're talking about, but that's not where the real work needs to be done. But yeah, we do want to be, traditionally successful as well as a comedy group. And well, Bordick actually has a lot going on that we may be working with. The charge of release is coming up. They're trying to get that. We haven't been able to get a vote for it yet. It has 18 co-sponsors out of 51 council members. 26 is, of course, what is necessary to get it passed. And Councilman Vallone, we're encouraging people to contact him, 718-274-4500. Please call him. He hasn't committed to giving a date for a vote. That's 718-274-4500. We need him to authorize a vote. He's the chair of the Public Safety Committee. And so that we can get this voted on. And what charge of release would do is require officers and policemen to release people within 24 hours. Either charge them with a crime or let them go, which has been case law forever. Right. But it hasn't been enforced, and it's being increasingly disregarded. Up in the Bronx, we're seeing 60% of arrests. People are not charged within the 24-hour period.
It's a disgrace, isn't it?
It is.
We're going to talk more about it very shortly. What I'd like to do now is roll into our second evolution here, or sketch, where we'll see a different dimension to the troupe. Let's go now to a game show of the future.
That's right, Tracy. You've just won an all-expense-paid trip to New Orleans.
Wow! Oh my God, Mardi Gras! I can't wait!
Oh, actually, there is no more Mardi Gras.
What?
Well, now that Tom DeLay's been put in charge of the Gulf's moral agenda, he decided that Mardi Gras activities were not quite in conjunction with the latest version of Patriot Act 11. However, you can check out all the action over at Bible Gras.
Oh. Well, I'll just, hang out on the beach and have a drink.
Well, Tracy, actually, New Orleans is doing a Prohibition revisitation program. It's part of the expansion. More is less,
Oh, well, I'll just chill on the beach.
You mean Trump Stretch?
What?
Trump Stretch. Once all the undesirables left, his corporation was more than willing to step in and scoop up some of that depressed real estate. Thank God he got that property enhancement relief check. It's really going to help with the casinos.
But I don't gamble. Wait, why did all those people lose their land?
Tracy, this is what eminent domain is all about. It's about helping the community with giant Elvis fountains and sprawling golf courses.
Oh, I love golf.
And now with that hurricane check, you'll be able to afford it.
Hurricane check? I live in Miami.
Yes, but the fallout from Katrina could leave you with doubts about how you're going to vote.
I vote Libertarian.
Well, nobody cares, Tracy. Just smile and wave at the camera. Confusion is clarity. Division is unity.
Magnificent. And I when I first heard him say Orleans, I thought he was saying New Orleans, but then I realized, Neo. Oh, yeah. Now it all makes it all dovetails. this is it's a quite a unique group. As I said, it has many extensions, many things that you can, places you can go with this. You can go TV, you can go continue in street theater, which I think is a pretty noble way to go, because acting traditionally, I think, was out there, live in front of the regular folks as well as the highfalutin people.
Yeah.
And so you're not hiding behind a stage and, you know,
like the San Francisco Mime Troupe, just set up in a park, put up your stuff and go at it. I mean, that's where I'd like to see us go with it. I'm not sure if the rest, I mean, I think a lot of them feel more comfortable, within closed doors, but we're working up to it.
Yeah.
And
you can also do public service announcements, because troops and acting groups are great for doing specialized messages that have a point behind them.
Makes sense.
And something to think about, in terms of, I mean, do you have an agent or anything yet?
I don't. I have an agent for clowning, but no, not for theater yet. But I don't know if we would benefit by one, actually.
It'd be interesting if you ever had if you had a clown agent or a mime agent, and he'd go around try to explain what your troupe was about. But that's a trial balloon there. But
yeah.
I think that, again, this is a very good kind of exercise to penetrate the mindset of the average person who isn't about acronymed named organizations, whether it's this alphabet soup name or that alphabet soup group, but they do understand a comedy sketch.
People have a very low tolerance for tedium in a lot of cases. They don't want to sit and read and understand what's going on. But if you bring it to them in an entertaining manner, make it as painless as possible, they might actually start to take an interest and say, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
And it's really baffling, the degree of ignorance that's out there. I mean, we were going out talking about getting people to call their congressmen to not get the sunset provisions renewed for the Patriot Act. You'd be surprised to this point how many people who have never heard of the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
And when you when you tell them what it's about, generally they're like, yeah, I'm calling my congressman, but they didn't know.
Yeah. They didn't ever look at those initials and factor out what that legislation was about. Well, Congress never read the bill, before they passed it. So
how could we be expected to?
Yeah, and one other thing about your troupe is that that kind of approach is appealing to young people, children.
Right.
You can get the message through to young people, and that's important, for the point of view of introducing them to concepts that they might be too bored to bother with otherwise.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about that. But I mean, the party is thinking hard about
how to reach young people.
A whole youth appeal. Of course, a palette of issues that uniquely are of concern to youth. And we're thinking about it, of course, in terms of the political and in terms of this issue, that issue. But in terms of the presentation and the packaging, I think this is one kind of avenue to keep going with. And with that said, let's go to our third sketch, which consists of the latest offering from Homeland Security.
Hi. Have you ever dreamed of providing complete home security for you and your family, but never thought you could afford it? Well, now you can. Homeland Security is joining forces with Lockheed Martin and Halliburton to offer a state-of-the-art home surveillance system, not available before at any price. Not only will you be able to see everything that you and your family do, but so will the good people at Homeland Security. Let's talk to a satisfied customer now. Betty Lou, how is Crimeless America working for you?
Oh, it's been just like a dream. I mean, every mother dreams of smothering her child in a warm blanket of love and protection, but I thought it was just a fantasy till Crimeless America came along. Not only do we have cameras in every room of our house, but also in Tommy's classroom and on his route home from school, so we know that he's not taking drugs or getting kidnapped, and besides, we can see what they're teaching him and who he's associating with.
Now, Betty Lou, don't you find those cameras to be a bit unsightly?
Oh, not at all. They're so cleverly disguised. We got one looks just like a toaster. My friend Peggy Sue was looking right at it and didn't even know it. I felt like saying, "Smile, honey, you're on candid camera."
Now, I know a lot of people are thinking to themselves, this sounds too good to be true, and that it must cost a fortune. Have you found Crimeless America to be affordable?
Well, you can never pay too much for peace of mind, but I was worried about that too. When Frank told me everything we were getting, I was like, Frank, that's going to cost more than our trailer. But then when he told me the cost was so cheap, I couldn't believe it.
When you look at all that Crimeless America offers, cameras almost everywhere you go, and Homeland Security personnel dedicating hours to monitoring your home protection, you might expect to pay thousands of dollars. But due to generous donations from tax-paying Americans, complete protection is available not for $5,000, not for $2,500, but for only $249 a month.
It's unbelievable. And if that weren't enough, once we've been customers for a few months, Frank started getting these prank phone calls. I called up Homeland Security and I told them my husband was being harassed. And can you believe they tapped our phones for free? Just took care of it. They just said, don't worry about it, Betty Lou. Y'all been such good customers. We know money's been tight. Just go out there and buy that new sofa you keep looking at every day after work.
That's right, Betty Lou. You're never going to be just a number to Crimeless America. We're going to take the time to get to know you intimately. And today, the first 500 callers will get free phone tapping.
But you still haven't told them the best part. Every mother's worst fear is that her son or daughter will be kidnapped. But now, thanks to the tracking device they put in the back of Tommy's neck, now we know he's safe, even if he steps away from the cameras.
That's right. Toddler tracking is available for only $4.99. And it's also helpful for that straying spouse who could use a little extra push.
Oh, I got one for Frank. Oh, he's always been faithful, but now we know he'll stay that way. And if he gets near a strip club, it puts a big shock right in the back of his neck. Anyway, it's just, such a good feeling knowing Homeland Security's out there watching over us like they're part of the family. And soon, when everybody signs up, we really won't have any crime in America at all. We've got a bright future in front of us.
That's right. Just dial 1-800-J-EDGAR-H. That's 1-800-J-EDGAR-H. Government AE operators are standing by waiting for your call.
Call today.
Again, quite an interesting sketch.
See, that one, I was going to be like prim and proper, but, I looked at my hair tonight and I said trailer trash. So that one, the character got changed to fit the hair and the costume.
Only thing missing was the guy saying, "Orange glow with OxyClean." Clean away your
That's what
inhibitions
it was
against
by.
losing your liberties.
Yeah, well, I was trying to touch on the way people cooperate with the loss of liberty, and also just looking at a normal person and give them the power to have surveillance over their family. And it may start with being concerned, but it goes somewhere else. This is a mom who might not be that controlling until she's given a video camera and can watch everything her son and her husband does.
Yeah.
And then you see she starts to become this monster of a control freak.
It's this
and
insidious
that's human
aspect
nature.
of the welfare, warfare, security, total state.
The national security state, where it's all the secrecy that the government and the FBI is given, it's human nature that they're going to abuse it. They have no accountability.
It breeds the kind of mindset that creates more of the same. Same like once you get the welfare check for over too long a period, some people don't think about working it again or doing regular employment or pursuing a career. They think about the welfare check.
Well, you know what I think is actually, now libertarians I think are probably against this, but I find it interesting that a lot of the far right looks at, what do they call that? Oh, earned income, or what is that? It's called earned income
tax credit?
Tax credit, yeah. It's something that's like if you work and you make like $8,000 a year, some ridiculously low figure, which is less than welfare, they earned income credit, I believe it is. And they give you like an extra $2,000, and they really cracked down on that because they were so paranoid that people were going to abuse it. And they wanted to make it, they were acting like it's the same thing as welfare, but it's significantly different in that you're rewarding people for working. And helping them to get a leg up so they can work more, rather than giving people an incentive not to work. I mean, it's such a fundamental difference there that I find it strange that it gets lumped all together.
Well, in some ways, the libertarian solution would be more radically simple. Let's not have a system of taxation, and therefore you won't have a sense of manipulated inducements or incentives going in any direction. I would like to say that the sketches you're doing are completely perfect, but I think you clearly have some growing to do in terms of everybody getting really going and getting the flow going in all respects. So I'm sure the growth curve was going to be there. You know, I saw it on the Saturday Night Live people, although they try to make themselves out to be demigods. They looked like they were struggling in the mid '70s. Yeah, but the very first and second year there, I mean, they didn't know what they were doing. Some part of the time because it was brand new. So this is a different kind of brand new. You might become as popular as the Capitol Steps, you know, if you want to take it that far.
Capitol Steps, what are they?
Oh, okay. I thought they were a group that makes sketches about Washington D.C. and.
Oh, I mean maybe, but I hadn't heard of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're trying, or they're established where they do their thing out there. So maybe one day they're gonna, you're gonna blow them away, and then nobody's gonna remember who they are. So. With that, I want to, thank you for bringing your talented group together, helping to forge it. Do you want to say one more thing quickly about Bordick, October 26th?
Well, I do want to say one thing quickly. Actually, the NYCLU has its lawsuit about the Fourth Amendment violation with the subway searches. That is on October 18th at 9:30 a.m., 500 Pearl Street. We want to pack the courtroom for that.
With that, I have to say that's all. It's a wrap. Thank you very much. Join us for another exciting episode of Hardfire.
Liberals have no morality. Now, we know this. We know that they lie and then they kill babies, and they will manipulate any situation for their own advantage.
Well, I'll just, hang out on the beach and have a drink.
Well, Tracy, actually, New Orleans is doing a prohibition revisitation program. It's part of the expansion. More is less, you know. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking to themselves, this sounds too good to be true, and that it must cost a fortune. Have you found crimeless America to be affordable?
Well, you can never pay too much for peace of mind, but I was worried about that too. When Frank told me everything we were getting, I was like, Frank, that's going to cost more than our trailer.